Excellent. Okay. Chapter number 4, covering a couple of attacks that may and some may not need a computer to be effective. Because you don't always need technology to launch a successful attack. You do need folks who either have some knowledge or have the technology to identify an attack occurring. But the first one on our list is social engineering, the practice of manipulating people through a variety of strategies to accomplish desired actions. Social engineers work to influence their targets to take actions that they might not otherwise have taken. Security Plus focuses on 7 key principles leveraged to successfully engineer an individual. The first one is authority. Most people will obey someone who appears to be in charge or someone who is knowledgeable, irregardless if they are actually somebody who's in charge or somebody who's knowledgeable or not. The next is intimidation. Scaring or bullying an individual into taking a desired action. That is a way that works. The next is consensus. People tend to want to do what others are doing, so that can be used to persuade them to take action. Scarcity. By making something look more desirable because it might be the last one available is an easy way to socially engineer somebody. There's familiarity. Relying on the person being socially engineered to like the individual or the organization that the attacker is claiming to represent. The next is trust. Relies on a connection with the target individual. And last is urgency. Creating a feeling that the action must be taken quickly due to whatever reason. These principles work because it causes the target to react to a situation that may make them nervous or worried about as a result. Social engineering relies on human reactions when we are most vulnerable instead of thinking clearly. Social engineering efforts in the real world combine multiple principles together in a single attack. I should be able to share screen. Here, I'm gonna make a new share and share my sound for this video.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby, and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information, and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying, and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30
At
seconds,
gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Shh. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're going to have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Yes. How illegal is this? This is a social engineering attack. She impersonated to be his wife. This is illegal. But since when does that stop somebody from doing something? It's illegal to go above the speed limit. And look at the freeways. That's how easy a social engineering attack can happen. How easy it is to trick people into giving information, into providing access. All she needed was a phone call and a video on YouTube, along with a good story. Piece of cake. This is the world of social engineering, working on human emotions. And looking and using these various things to achieve it. As long as you know how to manipulate a person's feelings, you can socially engineer. It's not that difficult in concept or in practice. The hard part is detecting it. Because how do you filter this call? How do you verify that this person calling really is his wife and not somebody at an event pretending? Because again, all she used was just a phone call. And she had some basic info on him, and that was enough. There are a variety of techniques. Phishing with a PH is the broad term used to describe the fraudulent acquisition of information like credentials, credit card numbers, social security numbers. Phishing can be done over email, over text, or phone call like you just saw. Spear phishing targets specific individuals or groups in an organization to gather information or access. Whaling targets senior members like CEOs, CFOs, the C-suite. As usual, the common defense is awareness training paired with technical tools to prevent this type of happening. There's credential harvesting, gathering credentials performed via phishing, system compromise, remote access Trojans, or other techniques. With the right credentials, an attacker can do anything to an infrastructure. There's website attacks, like farming, redirecting traffic away from legitimate websites to malicious versions, typically requiring a change in DNS entries on a local PC or local DNS server. Typo squatting relies on people mistyping URLs and ending up on their sites. Watering holes use websites that target frequently used. So they pick a target, they find out what websites they normally go to, and use those sites. The attacker focuses on compromising the site that the target goes to often with malware and other means in order to get to their actual target. Does that one make sense? Because that one's a little confusing. No, the honeypot is very different from this. Let's say you run a company that creates headphones, and you have a you use I don't know. You use Bose as the actual speaker that's part of your earbud. So you're going to go to the Bose website often to get the parts you need to build your earbud. So what the attacker would do is they would go to Bose, plant a piece of malware or something there, so that when you go to that site, you get hit with the malware they want you to get hit by. There's always spam. So the malware targeted for just me or anyone. The malware can be either or. You know, in the case of a watering hole, it could be that the attacker wants to hit everybody who manufactures a hard drive. So they get on the site of the companies that make the actual platter. Or if it's healthcare, they want to hit as many healthcare companies and organizations as possible. Well, what's an easy target for them right now is everybody who sells N95 masks. If you want to be evil and mean, you would target the sellers of N95 masks, put malware on them, so that anybody who's trying to be a human, a decent human, and help other people, well, those folks, the distributors of the N95 mask, would get hit by the malware. That's how watering holes work. So spam, and not that kind, employs social engineering to attempt to get recipients to open a message or click on links. There is one underlying truth. If you send enough tempting messages, you're likely to have someone fall for it. You will find in the test the term spam over internet messenger. or SPIM. So some in-person techniques could be dumpster diving, which is very effective. Retrieving potentially sensitive information from a dumpster, like documentation, manuals, notes, directories. That helps in the social engineering. You know who people are, you know their position, you know their extensions, you know what type of software or hardware they have because of the manuals. Right, or recycle bins, garbage cans out front, either way, that's all dumpster diving. There's shoulder surfing, looking over a person's shoulder to capture information like credentials or other data. It can also be done by looking with a mirror, binoculars, or any other method of visual. Privacy screens and user awareness are ways to fight this. If you don't have a privacy screen on your phone or laptop, I don't know why. You give out quite the amount of information from your cell phone. Tailgating is a physical entry attack that requires simply following someone who has authorized access to an area so that as they open a secure door, you pass through it as well. A very simple way of tailgating. Think about how simple this is. So there you have a secure facility that only authorized people are allowed to come into. Okay, you got that in your mind? We have a secure facility. Only people with a badge, with a very specific badge, are allowed in. That makes total sense, right? Yes, no, no, yes. Okay. A pregnant lady shows up who says she needs to use the restroom. What are you gonna do? %99 let her in. Right. Angel's right. Probably let her use it. No one's gonna check if she really is pregnant or not, right? Nobody's gonna lift her dress and see is her belly big or not. In reality, that happens. Absolutely, that happens. And a fake belly is more than enough space to put a tool like a Wi-Fi pineapple inside the facility. More than enough time to slide a device with a battery that will listen in on the Wi-Fi network, will attack the Wi-Fi network, and have a 4G or 5G antenna to connect out to the world. And no one's the wiser. Just saying. There's also eliciting information, a technique to gather information without targets realizing they're providing it through things like flattery, false ignorance, acting as a counselor or a sounding board. Elicitation targets usually realize they provided more information than they intended after the fact. Like when Mark Ruffalo here told the world that everybody dies and then went, oops, too late. Identity fraud. Pretending to be someone else is a key tool used for malicious purposes. Pretexting is the process of using made-up scenario to justify why you're approaching an individual. used to make impersonation efforts more believable. A verification call can defeat such attempts. Identity fraud and theft is typically used for financial gain and or used as part of penetration tests. This can be anything, including pretending to be a delivery driver or an employee of a service provider, rather than a specific identity. Hoaxes are a common occurrence. Invoice scams, sending fake invoices to organization in hopes of receiving payment, is another type of fraud. We even have influence campaigns. As cyber warfare and traditional warfare have continued to cross over, online influence campaigns have become a part of hybrid warfare. They can turn public opinion in directions of their choosing, from advertising, disinformation campaigns, propaganda, and so forth. 2 more sections. We have the password attacks. There is the brute force, where we're just going to iterate through passwords until we find one that works. Actual methods can be more complex than just a list of passwords, often involving word lists that use common passwords, specifically picked as likely used by the target, modification of rules to help account for complexity rules. Brute force is a process that involves trying variations until it succeeds. Password spraying is a form of brute force that attempts to use a single password or a small set of passwords against many accounts. It can be effective if a target uses a specific password in many accounts. This is why you're always told to have a unique account for every account you have, or use a password, unique password for every account you have. For example, sports team fans tend to use a common chant, well-known player names, or common terms related to the team. And if you know that in this organization, there's a bunch of fans of a specific sport, of a specific team, more than likely they're going to use a chant or something, some moniker or something related to that team. A dictionary attack is not this. It's another form of brute force using a list of words. Attacks can happen online against a live system that has many defenses in place, or offline against a compromised password store. Rainbow tables can easily search through their databases of pre-computed hashes to find passwords. Rainbow tables are enormous. You need terabytes of storage. But it is all pre-computed so that if you are searching for a password, it will be easy to find in a short amount of time. In our last section of wonderful attacks, we have the malicious flash drive. Pen testers love to drop different drives in locations where they are likely to be picked up and plugged in by unwitting victims. Sometimes they're labeled with compelling text like performance reviews, financial planning, or other key tempting words. These are just another form of a Trojan. Malicious USB cables, effectively an invisible attack method that may be able to interface with the computer or device to record keystrokes or capture data in addition to deploying malware. This is why you're told routinely to not use anybody's cable to charge your phone, for example. And we have card cloning, capturing information from RFID and magnetic stripe cards for entry access. Attackers can conduct skimming attacks that use hidden fake readers to capture or skim cards and employ cloning tools to use credit cards and entry access cards for their own purpose. So here's an example of a suspicious card reader versus a safe one. A point of sale system. Point of sale system and or ATM. Questions? Did this scare you? The world of social engineering is pretty big. If you like that kind of stuff, you're gonna have employment. It's pretty awesome. Some way to ID fake point of sale systems are what these pictures are showing you. Like if the card is going all the way in versus having a good portion out, a wider than the normal point of sale system, or the lights aren't as bright. A general rule of thumb is whenever you're going to use a point of sale system, give it a jiggle. Like, for example, when you go to the gas station, pull on the card reader, because usually what they do is they put the card reader on the fake one on top of the real. And if you give it a good yank and it comes out, then hey, you've got yourself a skimmer. But yes, it would be attention to detail. Don't just assume because you're going to Trader Joe's, it's going to be safe. Very easy to distract people. I mean, you only need a second to distract people and slap the fake one on top. It's not that complicated. Just social engineer, folks. On your to-do list this week, you're going into Try Hack Me and completing at least 3 rooms that relate to password cracking. You got to show proof that you completed the room. So I've highlighted a few that are acceptable. If you find others that relate to password cracking, go for it. But time to get you some hands-on in working within Try Hack Me. So minimal 3 rooms. Show proof that you completed them, submit that in. That'll be your work for the week. Any questions on the work ahead before we get started? Cool, I see thumbs up. I see nope. Then let's get to work.